So today we are installing some mini splits, and we have a 3-inch hole drilled through the rock wall where the line set is going to come through, and then that'll be set maybe on a platform or something because they're supposed to stay horizontal. But I was trying to keep the line set above the level of the ports, so that was the idea there. But since it's in the basement and I wanted to have enough height here for snow and debris and things like that, and to be able to service this at more of an eye level, that's how that got installed. So we used anchor bolts into the rock and used a grinder to grind out where the bracket would fit level, and then leveled everything up and then tightened these bolts. But I think we're going to add a cross support coming down there, a gusset, to help to hold that. And so this is looking pretty good. Leveled that up, and so we're gonna go inside and finish the inside part next. Okay, we actually have the tool set for proper, which this one we will use because that's got the torque wrench in it, and this has got the right flare tool with 45-degree angle for doing mini splits. And I looked at my fitting and it looks clean and it's good. Sometimes there's like scratches in there, the flare's not done right from the factory, and they actually recommend, most installers will say, cut this tubing off and reflare it and put a better nut on here. But since everything's looking good, we're gonna go ahead and run with what they gave us, because it looks like it's gonna be fine, and we'll skip that step on this one and see what happens. So that's fine. Next thing to do is to get the cord, feed it through the back of the unit, up through here, take the little plate off of there, and then connect the wires according to the wiring diagram. There's also one in the instruction manual. And once that's hooked up, then you can put the cover plate back on. And I find this is a whole lot easier to do if the unit is sitting flat instead of hanging on the wall. So that's what we did for that. Yay. So tighten that up, and then brackets mounted on the wall level with a hole for the line set and stuff to go through. And then I finished the drywall above it a little bit, probably do a little bit more there, and then I'm gonna paint this area so that when I hang that, I don't have to worry about that, and then it will be here for doing the rest of the construction part. All right, so I pulled this insulation off of here, unclipped the deal so that I could watch the lines as I flexed it up to make sure I didn't twist anything, and it flexed just fine. So I put my clip back on here, and then put this PVC tape stuff that they give you around here, and put a piece of duct tape to hold it, because I want to put this through the hole in the wall and then make my connections outside, so that way it keeps everything external and I'll be able to visually inspect it. I didn't want to hide them up inside here where I can't get to it. So that's all the further I'm going to wrap this for right now, and then I'm going to go ahead and stick that in the hole in the wall. And I painted around it so that whenever we go to paint the rest of the house, we don't have to worry about that spot. So on the back side of the unit, there's a retaining screw right here that holds this bracket on. You have to take that out so that you can take the bracket off to mount the bracket to the wall. All right, went ahead and stuck the line set through the wall, clipped the unit to the bracket, made sure that the cord reached, and then this plug is run to the outside to a disconnect, so that way you can disconnect from outside or inside. We'll show you that when we get out there. Okay, so we looked at our torque specs here. So for quarter inch, I want 15 to 20 newtons. So we've got our torque spec set in between 15 and 20. And then I use the locking mechanism to lock it. And then when you put pressure on here, you hear a little click sound to get us to the right pressure. So now we're gonna go outside and actually try to install these line sets. All right, so I'm up here on the ladder where it's coming out of the house. I threw a backer wrench on here and then tightened this down until it clicked. Got my torque spec, and then used a little tubing bender to help me get my sweep in there. So that's all ready to go. So now I'm just gonna leave that open so that I can do an inspection for leaks. And I'm gonna run this down and connect to the unit down there. All right, the large line set is on, and it was probably good to do it first because it's harder to bend, and then followed it down with the other line set. I'm going to connect that in. I used a drop of silicone grease and very, very light, just enough to keep the brass from binding on the brass. And then I'm going to hook that up with the proper torch specs. All right, both lines are secure. Took the cover off of here, took the little flap off of there, ran all our connections to according to the little diagram here that's sitting there, and then put the little flap back over, tighten that back up, and then we'll put the cover plate back on, which is sitting right there. And then we took a little bit of duct tape and just connected that in a few spots to keep the line set together. And a lot of people have been coiling these up, and I've been told since then not to do that because supposedly it traps oil in the bottom. So we got it all flowing downhill to the compressor, and then we're going to do some kind of cover on that. And then I want to charge everything up and test the lines before I cover everything and wrap everything, because I want to have access to my ports and all that if I have a problem. That's about all there is to that. Oh, here's my outside connection, and I brought 10 gauge wire in here on a 30 amp. It's only supposed to draw 9 amps each, but I didn't want to put that just on a single 20. Then these are regular old style fuses, which can be changed out to a 15. It calls for a 20 or 15 amp fuse, so we're good on that. And then these are labeled, and then they go inside the house to the plug that was inside next to the unit, so that you can disconnect from outside by either flipping the switch, turns it both off, or you can take a fuse out to turn one off. So that's how I did that. So the electricity is coming from the outside, coming into here instead of coming from here and going over to the unit, which is a little different on this style. I've done the other style, but this is new to me. All right, we're at the right torque. So I left these sticking out of the wall here, mounted this cabinet real quick to support everything, and then sprayed down the line set with the leak detector, checking for leaks, and I don't see any. It's supposed to be big bubbles, no troubles. We're looking okay, so I'm gonna go back outside and see how we're doing there. So this is charged with nitrogen to pressure, and yeah. So, oh, also I redid all the line sets because the ones that came with the thing on the kit were aluminum. And so when I cut the line set to make up the length, found out I couldn't make it up because it was aluminum. So here's the old line sets. Oh, look at that nice copper. Oh, wait, if you cut it off, guess what? Aluminum.
That's good, right?
That's great. You're gonna be famous. Put it down there. Yeah, I'll climb up there and check for leaks.
You can hose it up there. You use a 3/4 inch suction line. Is that what you're saying?
Right. First unit is charged up, ready to go. We got the second unit vacuumed down. And then we're gonna be pulling the caps off, and we'll open this one up first, and then let the air in slowly, and then open that one up second. And ta-da!
Say it one more time. Jim.
Say it, don't spray it. Release, release.
I'm listening now. Say it one more time.
All right, she's opened up, and then opening. So we can hear the refrigerant flowing there.
For 3 times. Not. Okay. Then 3/4.
This one's got a nice little ratchet on it. I really like this thing. But you can use a regular Allen wrench. And then this has got a seat at the top end. So go ahead and tighten her down so she's seated. Then we can start on this one.
I don't have him in the van, but oddly enough, we were picking up his kid from the lady has her faucet shut off in building 27. So
Done.
I'm headed back to work here as soon as I get my tools fixed up. So when I get to work, I will see what I can come up with.
For a quick recap, we're going to quickly recap it.
Tonight, but
So we determined there's no leaks, so now we're pulling a vacuum on the system. Yay. Alright, I packed in some of this electrician's putty stuff around here. Close that hole up. Both units are fired up and running. They hardly have any vibration at all. There's very little bit, which is nice. And then got all my lines wrapped. I need a little bit more insulation for this guy here. She's sweating. And then we've already got condensate pulling the moisture out of there. Yay! Nice dry house. So here's the installation. I packed some of that putty up on top too, and then I'm gonna make some kind of a cover to go over that portion there, and then fasten it to the wall, just keep that from looking all weird. And it's gonna be easier to bend that right as I'm putting the cover plate on there. So we'll do that at that time. This one's just gonna set where it's sitting. And then something about the compressor port being higher or whatever than the unit. I'm not sure exactly on that, but it said to have a trap on the instructions. So because I needed the extra slack to be able to move this unit in and out, I just went ahead and put a coil right there and left myself a little bit extra so I had more to work with. If you get too short, it's really hard to bend stuff. The longer pieces are a little bit easier to get leverage and make a nice bend in it. So that's on there like that, and done, and she is done. So enjoy. Also there's like these little purple washers that you can stick on the flare fittings when you go to make the connection, and I have used those before and used them successfully. I couldn't find anybody that had them, so I didn't end up using them. And then there's that blue liquid stuff that you put on there that's supposed to be a sealer. I didn't have that either, so I just used a little bit of the silicone jelly lubricant stuff. It looks almost like Vaseline, and I just put a very, very small dab on there. I could probably do another video on that, just to allow that fitting to be able to turn without friction, and so it doesn't like grab on the pipe and then go while you're tightening it up. It's just one smooth all the way until it gets to the right tightening part. And then I did change out and put the HVAC flare nuts on there instead of the factory flare nuts. And some people say, oh, you have to use the factory ones. Well, they're the same pitch, same angle. I don't know. I just went ahead and did it. I don't have any leaks, so that's all good. So we'll have to let time tell, but I did not detect any leaks at all, and we checked it like 3 times. So it looks like everything's good and up and running. AC units, yay.